So the most surprising thing about this interview for me was when Wes asked Joe what he thought about Jesus. And it's surprising because he really doesn't answer the question.
In all of this, what do you think of Jesus? Like in terms of your own like journeying and trying to find answers to ultimate questions. What do you think of the historical person of Jesus?
Well, it certainly seems like there's a lot of people that believe that there was this very exceptional human being that existed. So the question is, what does that mean? Does it mean he was the Son of God? Does it mean he was just some completely unique human being that had this vision of humanity and this way of educating people and spreading this ideology that would ultimately change the way human beings interact with each other forever? So what is he the Son of God? Well, are we all? That's another question, right? Do we all have that inside of us? Do we all have that ability to change everything around us inside of us? Do we all have that unique connection to the divine? And is he a representation of the best version of that? Or was he an actual person that was the Son of God? And is it important?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, what does it mean? It's just the fact that it's a question to ponder is a miracle in itself, in a way. Just the fact that there's this concept of this person that died for our sins as the Son of God, but you have to you have to believe in a bunch of stuff to go that way. Like, just the concept of that is interesting to people, because what it can do to people is offer them a very unique way to change the way they feel about the world itself. And if you do follow that, I know a lot of Christians are hardcore Christians. They're some of the nicest people you'll ever meet in your life. So it does work. Right? Like, if you do live like a Christian and you do follow the principles of Christ, you will have a richer, more love-filled life. So it is true, right? But you have to submit to this concept that this guy was the child of God who came down to earth, let himself be crucified, came back from the dead, explained a bunch of stuff for people, and then said, all right, see you when I come back.
And you don't know how you can wrap your head around that particular claim.
And if he came back, here's the thing. If he came back, who the fuck would believe him today? With all the fake news and all the CGI and AI, like, imagine. That would be the most bizarre thing of all time. If we get to a point where artificial reality is indiscernible from regular reality, and Jesus chooses to come back at that moment, boy, that's the ultimate test of faith, right? When it's impossible to discern. If we really reach a point where virtual reality is indistinguishable from regular reality, which we're probably 100 years away from that or something. Like, how far, maybe not even that.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's probably why Jesus came in the first century and not the 21st century.
But imagine if that's the big catch. Like, Jesus does return, but when he returns, we're just so confused.
As you can see here, Joe really doesn't answer the question, because when he's asked what he thinks about Jesus, he goes into more of a general approach, right? He talks about, Jesus' influence on the culture of the time and his impact on humanity and his teachings. He goes into the uniqueness and the philosophy of, Jesus. Was Jesus unique? How unique was he? Does this mean that he was a deity? He goes into, the effects that Christianity can have on people as long as you take those teachings to heart, mentioning that, Christians are one of the nicest people that he has ever met, which, by the way, is something that he would have not said before. Now, he does make a very specific point to say that accepting that Jesus is the Son of God will require a great amount of faith. And it's true, right? We believe that Jesus is the Son of God purely on faith, right? There isn't any fact that you can necessarily point to that will tell you, hey, Jesus is the Son of God. It's interesting that, Joe acknowledges the impact that Christianity has had on people, and he pretty much says that the teachings of Jesus were good, but unfortunately, that's not enough, right? Even Wes in this interview talks about, it's not just about the morals, right? Because think about it. How can you think that Jesus was this amazing teacher with all these profound teachings if he claimed to be the Son of God and you didn't believe it? Think about it. He would have to be crazy if you didn't have faith in that what he was saying was true. So even if you claim that Jesus had good teachings, you got to put that into question, because if Jesus claimed to be God, that's also part of the things that he taught. And if you think that that is something that is off base or crazy, then the rest of his stuff would have to be the same, right? Jesus made it very clear that it's not just his teachings, it's all of him or nothing, right? I think that you could take some of the teachings of the Bible, apply them, and live maybe a better life, but at the same time, that doesn't fulfill the purpose of what Jesus came here on earth to do, which was to die for our sins and provide that beacon to the Father. It seems that Joe these days is a lot more open, right, to Christianity, and we never know, right? Maybe one day we will see a Joe that is Christian. I really thought that it was very bold of Wes to ask him this question so directly. I just think that Joe, in this case, maybe he didn't want to get into a combative conversation. That could be part of it. Maybe he didn't necessarily want to be challenged by Wes, and that's why he went a little bit more general in order to kind of avoid that. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what you thought about the question and Joe's answer. So as always, I just wanted to remind you that we must persevere. Peace.